All right, there we go. All right, so yes, this is our NASA at My Library unboxing webinar for the State Library kits. So we're very excited to be with all of you. I think everybody's on here today. That's wonderful. And again, my name is Sarah Post, and I'm on the NASA at My Library project team and with Cornerstones of Science. And a number of us have helped build these kits and develop these kits, so we're excited that you have got, I think most of you have received both kits by now, so really do hope that you have them there with you if possible, and we're gonna kind of dig into them a little bit and hope that you guys will ask questions of us and do some of the activities with us as well. So we're gonna start with a few slides. So I'm gonna do this handy dandy here, screen share, and I'm gonna pull up the first slide here. So again, this webinar is going to be about an hour and a half. At least that's the time we have allotted for it. There's a lot of activities. We're not going to go through every single activity, but we're going to just kind of introduce you to them and hope that you'll engage with us with some of them. We want you to have your Zoom video on and your audio on as much as possible so that you can really engage with us. Don't want to really be talking at you. I know this is all new for many of you. I think you've had one or two webinars with us so far with David and Paul, but this one, definitely very interactive. If you're willing and able, we'd love for you to do that. On this call with us today is Paul Dusenberry, the director of the NCIL at the Space Science Institute, the National Center for Interactive Learning. I know you've met him as well as David Keeley. He's the project coordinator on this project for Cornerstones of Science, who works with me very closely. And also, not sure if you've met Annie Holland yet. She's the community engagement manager at the NCIL with Paul there. So just want you to know that a number of the project team are on this call, and we'll all be sort of piping in with different parts, and you can ask any of us questions about the kits or anything that's you're working on in this project. We hope that you'll engage here with us today. So for this webinar, again, we want to introduce you to these two kits and demonstrate the activities. And I hope that your kits are handy by, or at least some of the items that you can kind of pull out and practice with. We want you to really understand these activities and ask us questions, because some of the state library partners here with us today, they're actually going to be doing programming at their state library, direct programming, and some may just decide to send the kits out to circulate out to public libraries. So that's also perfectly fine, but we kind of may have two audiences here, so just be aware that some folks may need a little more training than others, but we really think that your public libraries may have some questions of you, and we hope that you understanding the kits a little bit more will help you answer those questions. And of course, we're available as well, but we want you to understand what's in your kit for sure. And then also, we're hoping that your feedback here on this webinar will help inform a kind of intro to the kits video that we want to produce, that we will give you the link to, that you can use to send to your public libraries. So kind of a shortened version of kits 1 and 2, and to kind of give a nice introduction for your public libraries for them to understand what they would be getting in the kits. So please either let us know some questions as we go. If you have questions, let us know, or you can type them in the chat. And just some housekeeping, these webinars are kind of kind of crazy at times. This is Zoom. I don't know how many of you have used Zoom before, but it's a pretty good platform. But again, we want you to keep your video and audio on if you can. But if you are in a loud area, you'll definitely want to mute yourself for that. Again, if you can either ask us questions directly through the video, audio, or in the chat box. David Keeley is going to manage our chat box for us. So if you don't get your question answered right away as you type in, then you may be holding it for towards the end of the webinar when we have a longer question and answer section. And then if you're having trouble connecting, you may not even be hearing me at the moment, but if you are, then we've known some people to have some good luck logging out and logging back in, or I noticed some people have called in using the call-in number. Just kind of be aware that there may be, I noticed that it's like a long distance number maybe that the Zoom provides, so you may want to use your cell phone, or they also, it looks like they provide a local number that you can use, but so just be aware. If you're having trouble, then let us know in the chat and we can help you. All right. So our agenda today, we really want you guys to understand a little bit about these kits and why they're important to the project overall. Paul's going to talk to us about that. I'm going to go into some of the different facilitation resources. So just know that you're not alone in this, right? This is not just one thing that you can go to for finding out how to do these activities. There's actually quite a few great resources that you'll be able to get your hands on or help others get their hands on to do these activities. We're going to go kind of straight through Kit 1 and then go through Kit 2, having you guys understand what you've received for one, and what types of activities, what are some of the kind of key concepts we're trying to get across. And then we will have a question and answer session at the end. So anybody have any questions to start? All right, I'm gonna stop sharing this. And
Paul, do you want to say something real quick to make sure the audio is working from that side of the room?
Hi, Sarah, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Perfect.
Okay, should I go ahead and get started on number one? Okay.
Yes, please.
Hi, everyone. Paul Dusenberry. I'm excited to participate with Sarah and the team here and to share both some of the key concepts and also some of the activities in both of these wonderful resources that you have available. Where do the kits fit in? Well, the NASA at my library is a program funded by NASA headquarters, and it's designed to fit within other parts of the project. And so there's three major areas of NASA at my library. One is stakeholder engagement, and that is working with NASA volunteer networks, for example. It's working with each of you. It's working with our partner libraries. There's 70 of them around the country. We have 18 state libraries that we're partnering with, and we're very excited about that. So there's a number of stakeholder groups that are part of this program. Secondly, we have resource and experience development, and that's where these STEM kits kind of fit in that area. Ann Holland is the one who kind of oversees the kit part of that program and has really been, I think, a real leader in trying to develop these kinds of programs and activities that libraries across the country can use in their programs to basically engage and to inspire young people and families and adults and the whole community. So I might have her say a few words about what she thinks about the kits, but we feel that they play a very important role in the program. And then thirdly, the last big area is the professional development and training. So we have a variety of training methods that we use, in-person workshops. We go to a number of library conferences, like the upcoming one in Seattle, and that's going to be in a few weeks for the ALA midwinter meeting. But we go to a number of these conferences, as well as we have webinars that we provide, and this is going to be such a great year because of the summer learning theme, Universe of Stories. So we are partnering with CSLP and other organizations to really provide a great wealth of resources to public libraries and state libraries across the country. And we just launched recently our website, which is called, I think we call it Summer of Space, but we will be sending you a link. If you haven't already seen it, we encourage you to get that link out to public libraries and to have them register their intention to utilize some of these resources, as well as take advantage of some of the freebies that we'll be providing. There'll be some raffling of telescopes, and I'm trying to get a nice hundreds of tactile books that we can give out to public libraries that register, they're working with us. So there's lots of things that are going on here. I'm sure Sarah will talk to you a little bit about the STEM Activity Clearinghouse and how important that resource is. I wanted to turn real quickly over to Anne. Anne, do you mind just saying a few words about the STEM kits?
There we go. Sorry, we're not in our normal webinar room, so we're kind of playing it by ear here. You're not supposed to see my popcorn. So hey, I'm Annie from the Startup Project. So yeah, I think the big thing I wanted to let you guys know, and I'm sure Sarah will hit on this a little bit later as well, is that this isn't something that we just kind of threw together in the last year here. We've been doing prototyping for, Sarah, is it 3 years now?
I know, it's 3 years.
So Sarah, myself, Paul, Kellyanne and Jamie, also from SSI. We went out to libraries before the Eclipse to test a lot of this stuff. We've done testing in our local library. Sarah's done testing in hers. So we're really confident that these are things that work well in the library setting, and that your constituent libraries will really enjoy using. The point of all of that is, and again, I'm sure Sarah will hit on this, any feedback you guys have, I know you're going to be talking to a lot of us. You're going to be talking to Cornerstones. You're going to be talking to our evaluators, but any info that you can share about how these things are working for you or how they're not working for you will be really, really helpful to us. And I did meet, I think most of you, I think a couple of you missed it, the iMeet Central webinar the other day, and that's a great place if you just have some kind of off-the-cuff thoughts about how the kits are working, to share that information with us and the rest of the group so they can benefit. So yes, please do let us know what's going on. And I did see a question about if NASA at My Library will be at ALA. We definitely will, and like Paul said, he'll be at PLA as well. We have a listing on our website of all the different conferences that we're going to be going to. A lot of your states do get represented there, so definitely check that out.
You mean the ALA, probably the main conference?
The June conference,
the
yes.
June conference, yes, we will certainly be there. Okay, so Sarah, I think it's back in your...
Great. Great. All right, so everybody looks like they're on here. I'm just going to change my view here just a minute. So anybody having any more audio problems or video problems, type in the chat, please. Okay. All right. So hopefully you have your handy dandy STEM facilitation guide, STEM kit facilitation guide here for the first kit. Excellent. Hi, Daniel. So I hope that you'll have those two handy by as we go forward. But I do want to talk a little bit before we dive right into the kit. That facilitation guide is only one piece to understanding these activities. There are, as Paul and Annie mentioned earlier, the STEM Activity Clearinghouse is an online clearinghouse where you may have been already, and that's where a number of these activities in the facilitation guide are located. But that's a little bit more of an interactive way to work with the activities in here. So there's lots of, hot links, hyperlinks that you can go to very quickly to get some more background information. You can kind of go as shallow or deep, if you will, with some of these activities. And we've really tried to choose some that really are based for the library setting. But, some of them have a lot more information you can glean. And but we really have tried to make the STEM activity clearinghouse focused for librarians. And that's where all of the activities that are in the facilitation guide are on that STEM activity clearinghouse based on the StarNet Libraries website. And within that STEM activity clearinghouse, when you go find your specific activity, there happens to be many how-to videos already available on these activities. So we hope that you'll also encourage your public libraries to not feel like, oh, they don't know how to do this, or I'm not sure, to really go to those quick how-to videos. And also, the NASA at My Library team are currently making how-to videos for many activities. So we'll be putting those on the StarNet website, and so keep posted. I'll try and let you know where some of the other videos are at too. So I think we're gonna end up putting a document on the iMeet State Library Partner section of iMeet, where you guys will go to, and it has like a list of all the videos and links for all the videos where you can send them out. So if you get questions from your public libraries, you'll be able to show them where to go to. So we want to try to make it easy for you and for your public libraries to be able to do these activities. Because a lot of people, they're going to open up this guide, and may not want to read all the instructions, right? Many of us don't want to cut to the chase sometimes. So we will make sure you guys have the information you need for that. So, okay, so let's dig in a little bit here to the activities. And anybody have any questions so far? I'm just looking at the chat here. Okay, so in your facilitation guide, I'm just going to quickly kind of guide you through this. There's a great table of contents, so it's very easy to see. This kit 1, you might have noticed, is a little bit smaller than kit 2. So a few activities and quick facilitation guides. There's a great how to use this resource page. And I don't know if you can see that right in your guide right now, but it really gets into this. Since this first kit is called the Sun, Earth, Moon Connections, we're really focused on that theme, right? So we really love modeling, and so there's a lot of models and scale models to help you understand how the Sun, Earth, and Moon work together and how they affect us. And of course, learning how to use different scientific tools and things to help us gain more information, help us to see what's happening in these other places, right? So I'll go more into that too. But this is a great page to focus in on how do you use this kit, right? So that page is a good one. You'll see also that there's a great inventory checklist. That is something that we think. Well, we know, working with the pilots, I don't know if you can see there, but but we've tried to provide a pretty extensive list of the materials that are in the kit. So once it leaves the public library, once it leaves the state library, gets to the public library, they know what they've received, and then they can pack it back. It gets back to the state library agency or to the next library. In good standing. So that's an important piece. The next part quickly is the survey. And I know we all, another survey, another evaluation, but it is a pretty important piece for us. So we've provided some survey instructions and the evaluation survey on there that folks will need, your public librarians will need to go to and complete that online. And all those instructions are there. So we really, really, really hope you encourage your public librarians to fill that out after they have used the kit. The next section is a great NASA mission spotlight section. In the first kit, you'll see we focused on the Parker Solar Probe that got launched this summer. And so that really helps the librarians who are facilitating this kit, or if there's other folks facilitating this kit, doing the programming, kind of give a more rounded view of why do we have this kit? You know, what's the Sun, Earth, and Moon connection? Just kind of give you an idea what's NASA doing in this theme area. So the Parker Solar Probe is pretty exciting piece. If you haven't looked at that yet, you should take a look at all the activity going on with that. The next section is mainly the activities. We're going to dig into a few of them here in a moment. Then after the section after the activities, we've provided a few quick guides. This one, I think the only one there is the Sunoculars, which you may or may not have ever heard of Sunoculars before, but maybe with the eclipse that happened, gosh, 2 years ago now, or a year and a half, however you want to look at it. So that's a fun tool that I'm going to show you how to use here in just a few minutes, but that gives not only how to use it, and I just do want to say that the Sunoculars is for ages 13 and up. And so that is kind of a piece that we want to focus on a little bit, saying that these kits are for all ages, and we hope that folks will be able to, if a children's librarian requests it, that they'll be able to understand that this can be used for families and to maybe engage teens and, you know, share it with other parts of their library. So, and maybe even as you promote these kits, you might see, for instance, the books, you can go to that section, the books associated in the kit or with the kit are more, you know, focused for story time, because that's kind of what we hear, what people want. Of course, the tactile books are really amazing. Annie and Paul are going to talk about those in a few minutes, but really, these kits can be used for all ages. So we hope that you'll encourage that. And the last section of these kits are the web links to kit materials. And so we've provided this, not only this document is for you at the State Library Agency to find the materials if you need to replenish them, if you're going to replicate kits, or if your public library decides that they really like something that was in that kit, they can go and find the link here and you know, purchase it on their own, so they can build up some of their STEM activities in their library. We've tried to choose kind of, you know, Amazon is kind of the easiest, but you know, that's what most of these links go to, but knowing, you know, local resources are great as well if they can find them, for sure. Just wanted to go through that really quickly because we feel like it's a pretty well-rounded guide, and you can pull from each piece. So we've tried to give, like with the Storytime books, which activities, you know, work with some of the Storytime books and vice versa. And also going back to that NASA mission highlight can really help kind of round things out when you're having a program or a conversation about an activity. All right, so let's kind of dig in. How's everybody doing over here on the chat? Let me just see. Yeah, Moon Bear Shadow, I know, pretty awesome book. Let's go ahead and dig right in to the first activity. If you guys want to, you can either turn to the activity, that's the Modeling Meaningful Eclipses, excuse me, or also known as the Yardstick Eclipse demonstration. Many of you guys may have had experience with this activity already because of that wonderful eclipse we had in 2017. And so I just want to pull this out and recommend that you also have your eclipse on a stick out. Hopefully you can see here. So what's great about this activity is you can start from many different ways, right? You can have it fully set up, which I do not have set up now, but I'm going to talk you through a little bit. Is anybody asking a question? No. Okay. So, so what's neat about this is on this scale, this is a great sort of scale model. It's one of the key concepts that a lot of our go-to pieces, because they're so much fun and they can be very hands-on. You can ask people, so here's our Earth, okay, our pretend Earth. Here's our moon, right? So our Earth is about 1 inch in diameter for the scale, and our moon is 1/4 of an inch, all right? So one of the great questions we like to start is, do you know how, based on the scale model, how far apart they should be? Anybody have an answer for me if they want to either type it in the chat or call it out? Do you think they'd be closer? Midway, really far apart? Anyone?
I'm just going to guess that they're going to be super far apart because I always underestimate the distances in space.
Very good. Yes, very good. So here's another, so what we like to do, and you'll notice many of these activities have what they call a guide on the side technique, where you ask questions, you help things be really relevant for folks. You kind of have people talk and discuss amongst themselves. So you'll hear me kind of use that technique a little bit here. And so my next question is, that was great, Amelia, that you said that, because a lot of people think that, and that's a good prediction. So yeah, based on this, what was that?
I'm guessing about 25 inches.
You're guessing 25 inches. Good guess. You could go further and ask why do you think that way? Just as Amelia gave her thoughts, and that was a good idea, Amelia, because yes, our universe is so vast, right? so big. So the next question I normally ask with this is, so I say that since this is 1 inch in diameter and this is 1/4 of an inch, 30 Earths could fit between the two. So how far apart do you think that they are now? 30 Earths.
30 inches.
Very good.
As Joe said.
What was that?
As Joe had typed in the...
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Sorry, Joe. Sorry, Joe. So what then you would do is, anywhere on your yardstick, you can attach your Earth and your moon. Earth and moon attaching here. So it doesn't have to be, at 1 and 31. It can be 3 and 33, where you put it doesn't matter which end they're on. You're going to attach them with your Eclipse. Your Eclipse on the Eclipse. So hopefully people can see this. So yes, 30 inches apart. And then what's really great is you can go further. We're going to kind of stop here in just in a minute, but you can go further and really talk about solar and lunar eclipses with this. It's not just about, we were so focused on the total solar eclipse that was coming across the United States in 2017, but this activity really helps people understand solar and lunar eclipses, and it comes with this great card, kind of a quick step-by-step, 3 steps to developing this. But essentially what you're going to do is you're going to have people practice. So you have 5 sets of these. That's why we provided a number of them so people can practice. So they can have a light source that's the sun, and when the Earth is between the sun and the moon, which one is that? Anybody want I want to venture a guess. So the Earth is between the sun and the moon.
Be a lunar eclipse.
Very good. Yeah, they happen at night, right? And so what it's going to do is, and I don't know if I'll be able to show you here, but the Earth is going to kind of shadow the moon, okay? And then if you flip it, just like we had in 2017, we had sun over there, the moon making a shadow onto the Earth. And so what you would do is make sure that you're in either a room or outdoors, and your moon is going to form a little shadow on your Earth. You just kind of have to find the right spot. I like to kind of put it on the floor sometimes. That's really good for kids too, because you can see the shadows a little bit better on the floor. Or some people like to kind of hold it up and get the sun behind them. And another fun thing is when people stand in the shadow, they can't understand why they can't get the shadow. And so there's just a lot of good learning opportunities to help, teach people, well, you got to get out of the sun. The sun forms a shadow, just like Moon Bear's shadow book, right? He doesn't understand why this other bear is following him. So really, really fun activity. So we hope that, you get to dig into that one a little bit more. I always gravitate to that one because it's just so much fun and offers a lot of opportunities for questions. And there are really, so much information about eclipses. And if you don't, if the facilitator doesn't know all the questions, that's okay too. Or doesn't know all the answers, I should say, that's okay too. It's a good time to say, hey, let's go look that up, or I've got these books here. Let's pull them out and see what we can find out. But you can pretty much find a lot of great information within the facilitation guide, and the NASA websites too have great eclipse information.
Sarah?
Yes.
This is Paul. I just wanted to make a quick observation that we get total solar eclipses because the moon in the night sky, when it's full, is the same size as the sun is. And so if they're both, even though the sun is so much bigger, it happens to be really, really far away. And the moon is a lot smaller, but it's much, much closer if you're thinking of the sun and the Earth. So that's how come we get solar eclipses, because the objects are pretty much identical in size, right?
Very, very lucky to get them.
Yeah. And the alignment, right? The alignment is crucial to those total solar eclipses. And I think we get a total solar eclipse somewhere on the Earth every 18 months.
I think
Yeah. So
in Chile, I believe.
Yeah.
In 2019.
Right.
So I think May of 2019, something like that.
Nice. Yeah, so that's an exciting thing to think about, because they are pretty popular. A lot of folks, astronomers, amateur astronomers, they go and search these things out. It's pretty amazing. And so we're going to move on. We're going to move on quickly. I'm not going to go into this activity too much, but this is UV Kid. And this is a fun craft. I like it, Daniel. This can be a really fun craft activity. I think a lot of folks like craft activities. And so this is a great one to really kind of think and learn about science as you're making it. Thinking also, you don't necessarily have to make a kid, right? If it's teens or adults, I didn't wear it today, but I have a UV bracelet. You could do jewelry with these chenille sticks, aka pipe cleaners, but super easy to make. These are just two of the chenille sticks. So you guys, I think, got sent quite a few of them, but you just cut two of them in half, and you can make UV Kid. And the real concept of it is to focus on these UV beads that you were sent, UV beads and pony beads, and getting across that again, this theme of the sun, earth, moon, and how they interact with us. The effect on light, on the sunlight of these UV beads right here, helps us answer some questions, right? Or helps us come up with more questions that we might have about ultraviolet light and where does it come from and how is it affecting us. So that's a really fun activity to really, and it's a take home. So I know that some of you guys might be a little bit concerned about consumables in your kits. This is a consumable. But we have sent you quite a bit of beads. We sent you kind of extra beads. So you could either put all the beads in the kit or hold some back at your library. I think, Daniel, we talked a little bit about the cashier tape that is part of the second kit. And, hey, if you want to put it all in the kit and send it out, that's fine. But also you can just hold a few things back, like the beads or chenille sticks or that cashier's tape if you don't want to send it all. Because some of you guys are paying for the weight, right? Some of the weight of the kit. So it's kind of something to think about if you don't want to send it all at once. All right, so let's move on here to the sorting games. Now, hopefully, we're just going to look at one a little bit more in depth. But your sorting games are really fun. You have 3 sets. How big, how far, how hot, okay? So these, you may, well, I'll start with this one. This is how big, and does everybody, I just see in a few videos, does everybody have these cards with them at the moment? A couple of people, some folks. I kind of wanted to play this with you a little bit. So we'll see how this goes for just a few minutes. But if you have these cards, these images are downloadable. And if you're going to duplicate kits, this is one of the pieces that you'll have to do. You'll have to have them laminated. So just wanted to let you guys know that these are downloadables, and probably best to just get them laminated from, if you have a lamination machine, excellent, Daniel, or go take them to Staples or something. I think that's what I did, took them to Staples, and pretty easily done. But it'll be a little bit of just a extra activity that you'll have to do when you duplicate this kit. So kind of without looking at the key, if some of you guys have your cards, when you're thinking about this activity, we want to help people understand order, okay? That's a big part of understanding order. And so ordering things, making some predictions. We might not know how hot certain things are, and that's okay. We're going to kind of take a guess. And this is a really fun activity to work in a group also. And when you have programming, when you don't really know how many people are coming to your program, this could be done with 2 or 3 people. It could be done with 20 or 30 people even, working in groups. So it's a good flexible activity to help people understand order, understand, again, the concept of size and distance and heat, right? So let's just look at the how big cards. There's 9 of them, all right? And the answers are in your facilitation guide, but you can also just have fun with it and help your group understand, okay, we don't know all the answers, but let's just, from the smallest to largest.
Sarah, we lost your video.
What was that?
No.
We still see her.
Sarah, we could see you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we see her too in the last group.
Let's just quickly, who can tell me what is the smallest of this group of items between the lions, the Andromeda Galaxy, the solar system, the sun, Earth, Jupiter, International Space Station, and Moon and Mars?
I'm going to
Definitely
go
the
with
lions.
the lions.
Lions, good, excellent. Okay, this is a little tricky. What do you think might be next?
I'm going for the space station.
Good, good. if people were struggling a little bit, maybe kids might not really know, one of the questions that helps along is just knowing that, the International Space Station is about the length of a football field. So that can help people make to the next step. All right, what's next? What do you think? Moon, Mars?
I think the moon.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, moon is next. Yeah, these others look really big, right? We know them, well, not everybody might know this, but Mars is smaller than Earth, right? All right, excellent.
I know that.
Oh, sorry.
The more you know.
I know, exactly. This is fun. Yeah. Okay, what do you think might be next? So we got Earth, Jupiter. What do you think? Anybody?
After Mars, Earth probably, right?
Earth, yes, excellent.
Then
All right.
Jupiter.
And Jupiter, because these other ones are huge, right? These are the big ones.
And then the sun.
Yeah. Sun, and then the solar system.
And the galaxy.
And then, yeah, the whole Andromeda galaxy is huge, right? So that can just be a really fun one to work with a group of people. And yeah, sometimes you get these sort of bug eyes like, I don't know what the answer is. And people get a little bit hesitant. But once you start, talking it through, and maybe the facilitator throws out some of these answers or even more questions or help you narrow it down, can be really fun exercise. So,
Sarah?
Yes.
I just wanted to mention too that the second one often which is the distance one, is more challenging than the size one that you just did.
Yeah.
I believe that the hot one is even harder. And so if you want to start out with the easiest one really is the one that you just did, and to get people thinking about scale size. But the distance one can pose a little bit of a challenge, so that's just something to be aware of.
Yeah, and I did the hot one too, and I was amazed at some of the things like, oh, I didn't know that. So I think it's kind of trying to kind of get you out of your comfort zone a little bit, get people thinking, and it's okay to be wrong sometimes. Anybody else? A question there? All right. All right, so the next activity, I'm not going to go into this too much, but you received your Jump to Jupiter kit here. This is an activity that can be super fun. You can go outside. It can be done indoors. And the key is to talk about the scale of the distances in our solar system and even the size of objects in our solar system. So I think it's cool because it's actually working with both. You don't have to do both in this exercise. You could maybe just have some pictures of the planets and the objects, and instead of the actual sizes or have these objects. That's fun too. Or just do the objects and focus some on the distance. So it's just up to you how you want to do it. But I think you see, maybe, I don't know if you have this picture. I don't have a picture for this one, but on this guide, you see this woman here holding up, I think she's holding up a grapefruit, and that's the sun, or the pomegranate size is the sun. And you see a group of people who've maybe walked ahead. And so that's kind of a fun thing to do sometimes, where as you do this activity, you're jumping or you're giving long strides if you don't want to jump to the next object. And when you get to that next object, to be able to look back and see how far you've come, it really gives people, kind of really solidifies, wow, there are some big distances in our solar system. So again, just another fun one. If you do want to replicate your kit, you may have to go find some of these items in here, like a little glass bead, some, I think, sea salt or kosher salt size items. So just be aware of that when you're thinking about replicating. And then I like this guide, this on one of the preparation pieces. It tells you, how many jumps you need to make. And you could just jump to Jupiter, or you can try to jump through the whole solar system, but you would probably need a pretty big space and maybe quite a bit of time to get to all these gas giants, if you will, other gas giants besides Jupiter, because but it's neat because you don't have to just do it linear, right? You could do it indoors, and you could go back upon yourself. So they go through that quite a bit in the activity, and make it, in the facilitation guide, it's very easy to understand what to do.
Sarah, real quick heads up on timing. We're at 45 minutes.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So the last thing I want to focus in on here, yes, that was a pun, I guess. With these are the Lunt sonoculars. I didn't say binoculars, these are sonoculars, and these are actually for viewing the sun. Now, I think I mentioned earlier that these are for ages 13 and up, and they can be really, really fun to use, but of course, being very careful, to not look directly at the sun when you don't have these over your eyes. So just real quickly, I want to show you how you would use these. So when you put these up to your eyes right now, if you're indoors, they look like they're broken because it's just completely black. Well, they have very heavy filters on them. And so it does take a very bright day with the sun out to use these. So you do want to be outdoors. And when you're going to go look at the sun, you want to kind of see where the sun is at. You never want to directly look at the sun, but you want to kind of put your hand up where the sun is. And then you want to kind of look in the direction of where your hand is. Again, not looking at the sun, making sure your hand is covering the sun. And then you bring your binoculars up to your eyes. Before you do that, you may want to just make sure that the binoculars are kind of fit to your eye distance. So kind of fit to your eye distance, kind of look where the sun is, put your hand over the sun, and then look out over your hand and put your sonoculars up to them. Because what happens with binoculars, these are 6x30s, so it's magnifying 6 times. And so if you kind of look down and you don't really have your hand up and you're put these up, and you'll kind of be looking for a long time for that sun. So it's a good way to use both the sonoculars and the binoculars are a very similar way to use those 2 items. And sonoculars are great to look at some kind of solar flares coming off the sun, or even sunspots. That's kind of a really fun pastime to actually log sunspots over time. So these could be used maybe for like a teen science club, or different teen groups maybe, or adult programming could be really fun to use over a period of time where they get used to using them and they're logging sunspots. Yeah, regular binoculars you do not look at the sun with. These are special ones.
Sarah, just a real quick comment. If libraries would like to, order more of those sonoculars, to have more available, I think that the kit 1 can handle a few more of those. So, that would be something that the libraries could use their funding for. They're not, and how much are they roughly? $30?
Yeah, the small ones are like
something
30.
like $30.
Yeah, they're not too much.
Yeah, so it's not too bad. In fact, that would be a great activity to have 5 sonoculars and 5 of the Eclipse sticks.
Yeah.
And then you could, kids can or adults could, do a group activity. They could team up, for example.
The other option that's a little cheaper than those is the same companies that sold the Eclipse glasses last year. They make kind of sturdier rectangular shaped ones that have a bigger area that has the film in it, so you can just hold it up to your face and not play the game that you sometimes have to do with the sinoculars.
Right.
All right, so quickly, we provided these two books for story time, Moonbear Shadow, which again we mentioned, great story time book, and Oh Say, Can You Say What the Weather's Today, Dr. Seuss. So this one you could read in sections, certain sections, or read all the way through. But again, great way to kind of understand how different things are affecting us here on Earth, and kind of goes into some very nice detail on that. I'm going to let Annie or Paul want to talk about the tactile books.
Would you want me to start out?
Go for it, yeah.
A little bit. Okay, so the getting the feel for lunar craters is a book that was written and developed by Dr. David Hurd in Pennsylvania, and NASA has been funding the production of those books over, I don't know, quite a few years, I think. It's a great, I think, resource for those who have sight problems. And, what's also neat is NASA has these other resources like audio, kind of basically an audio book that goes along with this. And because the lunar craters are going to be so prominent for NASA coming up with the Apollo 11 landing celebration this summer in July, there's amazing, I cannot just tell you enough about the incredible resources that NASA has. They have this Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter that has been orbiting the moon. China just landed, I guess, on the far side, the first lander on the far side. So there's just so many things that are focusing people's attention on what is our moon like, what's it like to be there, and all of that. And having this tactile book, I think, is a wonderful statement that public libraries are trying to be accessible and to reach out for those audiences that can't participate like everyone else can. And I think having this is a wonderful resource. So, Anne, do you want to say anything more about it? Or?
Yeah, so the big thing I wanted to say for all of the tactile books is I never ever use the QR code reader on my phone, but there's a QR code on the front of both of the books, and that will take you to all of those resources Paul was talking about. There's also a website, I believe, on the inside cover or the back cover of both of them. But one thing I really like from those resources that you have to dig a little bit to get through to, but it's totally worth it. For those of you who have 3D printers or your constituent libraries who have 3D printers, you can 3D print any of the items that are here in the book. They have those files available, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. So please let us know how the libraries are using those, and each of you should have your own set. I don't know if did we send a special set to each of the state libraries? I'm not sure. But let us know if you did not receive your own set. I will try. Right now, there's an issue right now with the government. I don't know if you realize, but it's partially shut down. And so it's a little hard to reach NASA. But we have connections, and so we'll see what we can do.
We know a guy.
We know a guy or two.
I heard JPL is still open for a while.
Yes.
Open, yes, there's a room.
Yeah. All right, great. Yes, and so at the very end of that guide, again, is the kit resources list for if you want to look at how much something is or where you might find it, learn more information about it. Those descriptions and links are right there for you or for your public library. All right, so let's move on.
Oh.
Are there other?
Guys, I think we've lost Sarah momentarily, but Paul wants to answer the question about our other tactile books.
Yes, there are. There's. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah,
I'll
Paul
assume
says
that they
yes.
can.
Thanks, Paul.
So yes, there's a small worlds one.
Nope.
Oh, small worlds one right here. That's in your kit too. And also, we hope to NASA to produce to reprint the Mars one that they have. And I'm just hoping that's a really good one too, but we just don't have any copies of it really.
Right.
So right now there's the two are lunar craters, excuse me, and small worlds.
Right.
Yeah.
Sarah,
All right.
are you back? Yes, great.
I think so. All right. So let's dig in. Let's dig in here. I'm not going to go through the facilitation guide like I did on the first one, but again, we noticed that it is a bigger kit with more activities and more science tools. And we did provide you a bit of a kit packing plan. You know, you can use that, or you can pack it however you feel like you want to. So do what's right for your circulation process, all right? So we provided a few more of the mission spotlights in this one. I think there's 4 of them. The Apollo 11, which is a great celebration coming up next year. So really good timing on that. And again, this kit is called Be a NASA Detective, Expanding Your Senses. So we're really focusing on, you know, those things that you might not really be able to see with your regular eyes, or, you know, the touch or experience really with your normal senses. So it might take something a little extra to really detect what's there, predict what's there. And so this kit's really fun. So the Apollo 11 is highlighted, the Juno mission, the Curiosity rover on Mars, and the newest one really is this Mars Insight. That's really wonderful, doing a lot of neat scientific work on Mars. That just landed, what, a month ago? Maybe not even that long ago. All right, so we're just going to go into, we're going to skip over Planet Party, only because we'll talk a little bit about that when I show you the telescope. But I'm going to show you quickly the Pocket Solar System. And if you have some of your cashier's tape or adding machine tape there, let us go ahead and maybe, if you get some scissors, cut about 4 feet off. I mean, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be perfect, just, you know, 3.5, 4 feet. And you can follow along with me here if you want. It's a really fun one. So this activity's been around a while. If you work with astronomy clubs, you may have seen this one before. This is kind of a go-to one. And it's a scale model of the distances in our solar system. Did I mention we like scale models? We like models. So, and it's just so much fun. Most of them, again, really hands-on, really getting that spark, or you'll kind of get those aha moments, like, wow, I didn't know that. And it helps, you know, solidify that. This is another kind of take-home item. It's meant to be, you know, fold it up and take it home, put it in your pocket, I guess. Or, but I think it's something that kids or youth or even adults could kind of look back on and go, wow, really, that's pretty amazing. So let's start. Typically, you want to, I don't want to give it away here, but I've got mine already done. You want to write Sun at one end, and you want to write Pluto at the other end, okay? So I've got my 4-foot length here. You want to do one fold. And again, this is a fun one because it's like on a paper folding project. You'll do the first fold, and you're going to get, you know, right in the middle there, make a good crease. So does anybody have an idea? This is our solar system, right? This is our whole solar system on this tape. What do you think what object is right in the middle? Right smack dab in the middle of our solar system. Anybody? Did I hear anybody? All right, so that is Uranus, okay? Uranus, right? one of the gas giants. So then you would write Uranus there. Fun word to say, right? There's a few different ways you can facilitate that. You can read a little bit more about that in the guide, but we'll move on. So you'll want to fold that back same way you had before. So fold it right in half and then fold it again. Okay, make a good crease. So now you have two more folds. You have a fold that's closer to Pluto and a fold that's up just above Uranus. So so a great thing about this activity too is you could start out with teaching a little bit about the solar system, right? You can have a whole nother project on looking at the planets, what are our planets, what are some other objects. But if you know your planets, what is past Uranus? Anybody? What's the last planet?
Neptune.
Neptune, excellent, yeah. So then you would write Neptune on that fold. You have Pluto, you have Neptune, we have Uranus. What's next? Anybody? All right, yep. Saturn is next. A good way to remember that one is some of the last planets here are S-U-N, sun, and you might have a kind of a mnemonic way to remember our planets and objects in the solar system, so that can be a fun way too. But so now we have Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Now you want to fold from the sun, fold that to Saturn and give a nice crease. Anybody have an idea on which that one might be? Yep, it's Jupiter. All right. So look how much space the gas giants take up in our solar system. I mean, my goodness, right? Where are all these other planets at? Where are these other objects that we know about that are so close to us that we have trouble even getting to, right? But that just gives a really, I think, a shocking understanding that, our universe is, our solar system is very vast. And all right, so the next step is to fold the sun to Jupiter. So make a crease. And that is the asteroid belt, right? That's a pretty significant, actually, a piece of our solar system. So then you're going to fold the sun. You would write asteroid belt there. Fold the sun to the asteroid belt, make a crease. And that one is Mars. Okay, so look, we struggle kind of to get to Mars, right? And here's Mars. So then the last part you would do is you would fold the sun to Mars, and then make another fold to Mars there. And so you have equidistant pieces for the rest of the planets, the rest of the rocky worlds here. And so Mars, Earth, Venus, and Mercury, trying to fit in those little spaces right there. And that can be a little bit hard for kids when they're writing, it can be big. You can actually, instead of putting the names, it could be an M or V and E for Mercury and Venus and Earth. But that's just a really fun exercise to do. And if you do this quite a bit, it'll be old hat. But I don't always get a big kick out of it. I always just have a good time with it. So I think that one could be your go-to one as well, because I think it's a really go-to one for the amateur astronomers who work in the Night Sky Network group. It's a really fun one. All right, so the next one is just really quickly. Let's see if I can share my pictures here. Let's see, screen share. Got a picture here of lunar phases. So if you have ever done this tasty exercise, oh, is this in here? You probably can see this here. Oh, there we go. Okay. Let's see if I can increase it. Oh, it doesn't want to do that. All right, I'll keep it that size. This is a great exercise to do with these lovely cookies, sandwich cookies, also known as Oreos. I have a few here. I have these new ones. They're called Oreo Thins. Not that I'm promoting any, but actually really, really good. So what we're focusing on with lunar phases is we're not trying to teach folks how moon phases work and how it all works. We're really focusing on the shape and the names with this exercise because actually learning how the phases come about are pretty difficult. So I think this is a great exercise to do first. So especially kids can just learn the shape of what we're talking about and the name. So you would take these cookies and either use your teeth or a spoon and come up with the phase that you want to get all the phases there. And so you would typically start at the new moon, and that means no moon or no reflection of the light of the sun on the moon. And then as it progresses, it's the waxing. I always think wax on. It's coming. The moon is coming, waxing on. And so that would be the right side of the, if you're seeing the reflection of the moon on that right side, you're going to start with the waxing crescent and move to the first quarter, or the half moon, also the half moon or first quarter. And then the very cool name, waxing gibbous, and is just the coolest name ever, right? I don't know. And then you hit full moon, right? And so then you're going to start waning. The moon's going to be going away. So you might come up with your own. A lot of people have their own way to remember this. I've heard so many different stories. It's really funny. But a way for you to remember, waxing, the moon is coming on to full, and waning, the moon is going away. So just to really, Annie and I did this activity at ALA last summer in New Orleans, and it's always a big hit.
We did it a few times.
Sarah?
Yes?
I was just wondering, this is Paul again, is this a good activity for cultural connections? Do other cultures, I imagine, have different ways to depict the shadows and the light and the dark on the moon? They certainly do for, I know, some constellations.
Yeah. I think it's definitely one that could be, I think there's all different, I know there's some great books that go into different, what cultures think is happening, in the night skies. And, a lot of times it is a lot kind of food related as well. So,
Nice.
Yeah. So moving on. So art and the cosmic connection. I'm gonna take you to just this website. So I'm sharing this. Everybody see the art and the cosmic connection? Yep. Okay. So this is the link to the activity through the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. And this is a great activity to really focus down in on that art is science and science is art. And getting to those concepts of learning about shapes and even thinking about Earth, like some of these images that they provide are Earth images, not just images from other planets or moons. So a real way to bring out concepts like squiggly lines on an image. What do we think that means? Or a round object on a planet, what's happening there? So, squiggly line might mean that it's water has been there before, or a round circle might mean a crater. So this is a great exercise. You have some colored pencils in your kit. I decided that we would go with colored pencils. I know others want to use the pastels. Libraries can use crayons, pastels, colored pencils. It's just pastels can be very messy. And when you have a kit, seems to be like if the bag opens up or something comes out, then that pastels gets over everything that's in the kit. So I went with colored pencils for you, and hopefully we got you a very sturdy box and a lot of colored pencils, and the library will just have to provide the paper, or if you wanted to provide, just depends on what you want to do. But again, really bringing in the elements of art. So for folks that are more art focused, this can help them gain more of an interest in science. And those folks who are really science focused can help bring out their creative side. All right, and there's a lot of information in this facilitation piece, but it can be done very easily. You don't have to, you don't have to do all of it. It can be, you can go find a few images and focus on those, or you can download the whole PowerPoint presentation. It's really up to you or in the public library how you want to facilitate that.
Sarah, we're 20 minutes out.
Okay. Got 20 minutes left. All right. So I think got one more picture to show you. Investigating the insides. I'm just going to show you one picture here. This is a fun activity using the infrared thermometer that you have. Oh, I overload it here. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
I know my video is kind of frozen
Yes.
up.
Can hear you.
Well, we could.
Did you want to say?
While we're waiting for, While we're waiting for Sarah to come back, the big thing about investigating the insides is that the kids get to use a really cool tool in ways that they might not have thought about. So obviously we provide in the kit all of these different ways that they can use it with stuff in the box, right? But they can also point at the heat vent. They can point at their friend. They can point at a glass of water. They can take it outside. So what we really like about this one is even if the actual activity seems a little complicated for the librarians who are facilitating it, there's a lot of different ways that they can still use the tools and have the kids have fun with it no matter how old they are.
And it's super engaging.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Especially with the laser, which I think we tell you to turn off, but it's really fun with the laser on it.
I just have to have adult supervision, maybe.
Right. So Deanna asked if other libraries considered this one a takeaway activity. So no, not normally. You can do it as a takeaway activity if you use balloons instead of the ornament balls. If you spray whipped cream in the balloons, they actually get really cold, and then it's a stress ball until it accidentally explodes and the parents are mad at us.
Seems like you've done that one.
Never. Oh, wow. Daniel said that their phone was 90 degrees.
Whoa.
Yeah, put it down. Stop with the memeing, I think.
Daniel, you can fry us some eggs.
Ooh, Sarah's pushing buttons. That's a good sign.
But have any of you played around with this infrared thermometer? It really is an amazing device. And it kind of fits into this idea of remote sensing,
right,
which NASA is really, really big on. I mean, most of its spacecraft, all of spacecraft orbiting Earth, looking down at Earth, are remote sensing spacecraft. So they're looking at different wavelengths and looking at different phenomena like water or atmosphere or land cover, things like that, using these amazing tools that they have available. But here people can be their own, in a sense, spacecraft, with this kind of a tool, remote sensing tool.
Sarah, you're back. Hello.
I think what's going on. Maybe I'm just trying to overload it with too many things open, but yeah, I just wanted to show you. I'm sure you mentioned that it's a fun tool. and you can use it in so many ways. Just being careful, there is a laser on here, and so it just needs some supervision. If kids are around, you can actually turn the laser off, or if there's, just more heavily supervised, so they're not pointing it at each other's eyes. So that investigating the insides, I don't know if you talked about it, Annie, but just a way to explore planets, right? You've got these globes, you're making some predictions, weighing things and measuring things. And so just a fun activity to.
And a really cool quote that we got from a kid in one of our pilot sites actually was, wow, this is really how NASA does it, right? Because they were using a tool, they were pointing at something really far away. Like,
Yeah.
he said everything else seemed so fakey to him, but this one just like clicked. He thought it was exactly what NASA did.
That's great.
Yeah, and it's so cool. A lot of people use these tools. Our maintenance guy came in one day and like, ooh, what's that? And so, kind of real world applications that you can use with it too. And also, if you want to get into citizen science, the Globe app, you can use that with that citizen science initiative. So I think one of the last things to really go into is look at the lovely telescope that you got. And we've got that right here. I'm just going to do kind of a little, so you need to have it on a sturdy surface, okay? Over here. And just some key pointers, really. I know this may sound funny, but a lot of people don't know this is the front of the telescope, and there's a cover here. A lot of people think of telescopes when they're thinking of the long tube, and they think they're going to look at the end, and they're going to look at it that way, like this, right? They're like trying to figure out where do I look? And we chose this smaller one because it's not really intimidating, right? I hope you don't think it's intimidating. Some of the bigger ones can seem too much, a little bit too much. So this one's kind of short and sweet here. One of the main pieces is the Easy Finder. Let me see if I can show you here. This is hard. But this Easy Finder piece connected here helps you focus in on what you want to look at. So if you've planned your evening and you want to look at Venus, there's a little red dot LED light. This is not a laser, it's just an LED light. You focus that little light on Venus, and then all you need to do is look in the eyepiece, and Venus will be right there if it's all adjusted right. So you have two eyepieces that came with the telescope, and we really kind of recommend using the wide angle one, which is the higher number. So I believe it's a 20 millimeter. So that's a higher number. So it's kind of like thinking about wanting to start out with more of a wide angle to see how you find things, and works much better with viewing conditions to have the wider angle on there. You can zoom in more if you have really good clear skies. So we do have some videos on the telescope, the binoculars, and the planisphere that we'll make available to you guys. But very easy to use tool, and people can be pretty successful with it. So with the wide angle, the 20 millimeter, they'll have about 15 power, 15 magnification, and then is your other one 6? I think your other one is a 6 millimeter, I believe. That gives you like 50 power. So you should be able to see some good things with this small telescope. I don't know if you have any specific questions about it. Making sure you turn off the Easy Finder when it comes back to you. You may need to turn that off if it's been left on. Batteries can be easily changed, but it's a easily changeable battery there. But I think people can be really, really successful with this very, very quickly. And right, and I think the binoculars that you have, very similar to the sinoculars, making sure that you look up at your object and really bringing your binoculars up to your face as you're looking out to see the object, instead of, you know, looking down and then trying to find a star in the night sky or a planet. Much more difficult to do that. So I think we'll stop here and ask if folks have questions. Or David, has there been some questions in the chat?
No, I think we've done really well monitoring chat and answering questions as we went along.
Good. Anybody have any questions about any other pieces? We have the books that are with the kit. This is actually a fun one. This one you use with your flashlight, and you can focus in on a couple of pieces here. I think I liked, let's see if I can find the image. But you shine the light behind the picture you want to see, which it took Annie and I a couple of times to figure that out.
Supposed to tell him that.
Oh, come on. Anybody can see the moon come up in the, anyways. So hard to do it here. Yeah. There's moon and stars behind there. So that's really fun. Of course, the Constellations by H.E. Ray is really a go-to book that's been around for a long time. That can be used for adults and kids, both like it a lot. And I think at the very end of your facilitation guide, we provided two flyers to help promote using the Night Sky Network to find a local astronomer, and the solar system ambassadors. There's solar system ambassadors in every state that are, you know, willing to come and talk to you guys. Typically they're, you know, more like presentations and maybe less hands-on, but, you know, you'll have to figure out, or your public library will have to figure out what's the best fit for their library. But we hope that you can encourage them to maybe find an expert that's in their state to come talk to their patrons.
Yeah, and that's a good opportunity to say that we are planning to put together a webinar that would be available to the nation's public libraries to learn about, you know, how to access solar system ambassadors and Night Sky Network volunteers. Mm-hmm. We're working with folks in Michigan and with folks with those two organizations, and hope to have something together in February.
That's great. And then also, this is Paul, we have those flyers, we have some really nice flyers on iMeet Central that will take you to both of the websites for those two organizations for requesting connections.
All right, so we didn't hit on every single thing in your kit, but if you have questions, please let us know. And let me see if I can share one last thing. So unless this thing's going to go down on me, that we really thank you for attending today, and that you will stay connected with us, and please use iMeet if you can, if you're feeling comfortable with that. We're really going to try and put the documents there for you, and you can send messages to us. And a lot of times it's great to use iMeet because a lot of people have the same questions, right? So the questions will come up and they'll be answered, and your whole group will be able to see the answer. So great way for us to communicate with you, and for you to communicate with each other. And I would just say also to take a look at the evaluation survey and encourage your public libraries to complete that after they get the kit.
And Sarah, I'll add one more thing. If you haven't already done so, please do encourage your individual libraries to join StarNet so that they can get access to all of our resources and webinars. And I just put the direct registration link in the chat for you.
Great. All right. Well, thank you all for attending. I think we hit about the right time. Anybody have any last questions?
Yeah, Lena just asked if is there one web page somewhere currently that has the videos. Which videos are you referring to? Oh, I see. Shows. So, Lena, that's a very good question. No, not yet. Sarah mentioned this at the beginning of the presentation. Right. We're going to make a sheet that has clickable links that goes directly into all those resources, so you don't have to look hunt them down individually. But that's not available quite yet.
But there are video links. If you wanted to go look at some videos right now, there's the video links in your facilitation guide, or you can go to the activity on the STEM Activity Clearinghouse and collect the how-to video. So
Sarah, David, and I were talking in private chat, but when you get the chat transcript, if you could post that in iMeet so people can go through, since all the links are in one easy place for right now, that'd be helpful.
Excellent. And I did see a question about Spanish resources, and I think we'll have to figure out what we have and see what we can put up for those. Okay, see who was, I'm just looking through the chat here, who had that question. It was Dina.
Yeah, or Dina, sorry.
Yeah.
Sue, mine too.
Well, this is very exciting for us, and we, again, just want to emphasize that we have this wonderful summer learning opportunity coming up just around the corner. So whatever you can do to help support public libraries in your state to get ready for it and have a really successful summer program. NASA wants you to succeed, and so do we.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Sarah.
Good job.
Bye. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for attending.
Toodaloo.